Mark Zuckerberg is one of the most influential figures of our time, yet he rarely feels present in the public imagination. His power doesn't announce itself, it operates quietly. This contradiction is usually overlooked, but what if Zuckerberg's influence grows precisely because he remains almost invisible? This is the core of what we can call the Mark Zuckerberg Invisibility Theory. The theory does not argue that Zuckerberg is unknown. On the contrary, his name is globally recognized. What it suggests instead is something more subtle, that Zuckerberg's power increases as his personal visibility decreases. His influence expands not through charisma or dominance, but through withdrawal, neutrality, and the systematic avoidance of symbolic presence. In traditional models of power, visibility is a requirement. Kings, presidents, chief executive officers, and cultural icons assert authority by being seen. Their presence reassures followers and intimidates rivals. Power announces itself. It demands recognition. Zuckerberg represents a break from this model. From the earliest days of Facebook, he positioned himself not as a leader in the classical sense, but as an engineer of infrastructure. He was not selling a worldview, an ideology, or a vision of the future in emotional terms. He was offering a tool, a neutral platform, a digital environment that claimed to simply connect people. This framing matters. Platforms are judged differently than leaders. A leader is expected to take positions. A platform is expected to remain neutral. This distinction allowed Zuckerberg to step out of the spotlight while simultaneously shaping the conditions under which billions of people communicate, organize, and perceive reality. The less he appeared as an active agent, the more the system itself seemed to operate autonomously. Over time, Facebook stopped feeling like a product created by someone, and it started feeling like a fact of life, like electricity, like weather. Something that exists rather than something that is imposed. This is where invisibility becomes power. When a system feels natural, it stops being questioned. When it feels inevitable, responsibility dissolves. Zuckerberg's public image is muted, restrained, emotionally flat. That reinforces this effect. He does not project authority. He avoids spectacle. He rarely performs dominance. Instead, he disappears behind interfaces, policies, and abstractions. This is not weakness. It is insulation. Whenever Facebook or Meta faces controversies such as data misuse, misinformation, or political manipulation, the conversation quickly shifts away from Zuckerberg the person and toward the platform, the algorithm, or the system. Accountability becomes diffuse, responsibility fragments, and Zuckerberg remains, to a remarkable degree, untouched. Even during high-profile congressional hearings, he appeared less like a defendant and more like a placeholder. Calm, controlled, technically precise. He did not argue ideology. He deferred to process. He spoke the language of systems, not morality. This is a key feature of invisibility-based power, moral distance. Charismatic leaders absorb emotional reactions. They are loved or hated personally. Invisible leaders allow reactions to attach to structures instead. Anger targets big tech, fear targets algorithms, confusion targets the internet. Rarely does it target Mark Zuckerberg himself. This pattern becomes even clearer when compared to other tech leaders. Figures like Elon Musk dominate attention through constant presence, provocation, and personality. Their power is loud, their influence is theatrical, their visibility is inseparable from their authority. Zuckerberg chose the opposite path. He minimized expressive behavior, he avoided spontaneous communication, and he reduced emotional variance. Over time, his public persona flattened into something almost schematic, a neutral face, controlled language, and predictable appearances. This consistency is not accidental. In systems theory, stability increases trust, and predictability reduces friction. A figure who never surprises you fades into the background, and backgrounds are rarely scrutinized. As Meta expanded its reach across social media, messaging, virtual reality, and digital infrastructure, Zuckerberg's personal visibility shrank relative to the system's growth. The more omnipresent Meta became, the less Zuckerberg needed to be. This inversion is central to the theory. Power traditionally amplifies presence. In Zuckerberg's case, power dissolves it. At a certain scale, visibility becomes a liability. It attracts resistance. It invites interpretation. It creates symbolic targets. Zuckerberg's strategy appears to avoid these risks by allowing the system to absorb attention, while the architect remains indistinct. The result is a form of authority that does not feel imposed, it feels ambient. People do not experience Meta as Zuckerberg's will, they experience it as an environment they inhabit. Environments are rarely blamed in the same way individuals are. This is not a claim about intent or morality, it is an observation about structure. Invisibility in this context is not absence, it is a deliberate reduction of symbolic density, a way of being present everywhere without being personally encountered anywhere. And that is where Zuckerberg's power quietly resides. To understand the full implications of this invisibility, we need to examine how modern power operates in digital systems. Platforms do not persuade, they condition. Unlike traditional media, which presents content with identifiable authorship and intent, platforms shape behavior indirectly. They influence what is seen, when it is seen, and how often it is reinforced. Over time, these micro-adjustments alter perception, attention, and social norms. Crucially, this influence does not feel like control. Users experience choice. They scroll freely, they post voluntarily, they engage willingly. The system does not command, it nudges. Nudges do not require a visible authority figure. Zuckerberg's absence from the foreground supports this illusion of autonomy. When a platform claims neutrality, its decisions appear technical rather than political. Changes are framed as updates, not interventions. Outcomes are described as emergent behavior, not design consequences. This framing shields the system and its creator from direct confrontation. The shift from Facebook to Meta further reinforces this dynamic. The rebrand was not just cosmetic, it was a strategic move toward abstraction. Facebook referred to a specific product. Meta refers to an ecosystem, a layer above reality rather than a site within it. As the brand became more abstract, Zuckerberg's personal presence receded even further. He no longer needed to represent a single platform. He represented an idea of infrastructure. Infrastructure is rarely visible. Roads, cables, protocols, standards. They operate best when unnoticed. Their success is measured by how little attention they require. Zuckerberg's leadership style mirrors this logic. He does not dominate cultural narratives. He does not perform ideological alignment. He does not position himself as a moral guide. Instead, he allows Meta to become embedded in daily life while he remains functionally interchangeable. This interchangeability is critical. When leaders become symbols, they become fragile. Symbols can be attacked, dismantled, or replaced. When leaders become background elements, removing them appears unnecessary or even irrelevant. Zuckerberg has effectively made himself less important than the system he oversees, and in doing so, he has made the system more resilient. This does not mean he lacks agency. It means his agency is exercised upstream, in architecture, not messaging, in defaults, not declarations, in parameters, not pronouncements. The invisibility theory suggests that this form of power will become increasingly common. As systems grow more complex and more deeply integrated into daily life, visible authority becomes inefficient. It attracts resistance. It creates symbolic conflict. Invisible authority, by contrast, normalizes itself. It becomes difficult to imagine alternatives. People do not ask whether Meta should exist. They ask how to use it better. They do not challenge its presence. They negotiate their relationship with it. This is the ultimate advantage of invisibility-based power. It shifts debate from existence to optimization. Zuckerberg rarely needs to defend Meta's right to shape communication. He only needs to adjust how it does so. And because he is not the focal point of attention, these adjustments happen quietly. The system evolves, policies change, algorithms adapt, cultural impact accumulates. And Zuckerberg remains, paradoxically, less visible than ever. This does not make him harmless, nor does it make him malicious. It makes him structurally difficult to confront. The Mark Zuckerberg Invisibility Theory is not a conspiracy theory. It does not rely on hidden motives or secret intentions. It is a description of how power behaves when it no longer needs to announce itself. In this model, the most influential figures are not those who speak the loudest. They are those who design the conditions under which speech occurs. Zuckerberg does not tell people what to think, he shapes where thinking happens. And the less he appears to do so, the more effective that influence becomes. That is the paradox at the center of his power. The quieter he is, the more the system speaks for him. If this perspective resonated with you, you'll find more essays like this on power, systems, and modern influence here. Subscribe if you want to continue exploring these ideas. The next theory is already taking shape.